Hi, Studio Recapped here. Today, we're going to talk about a movie called 65, released in 2023 in the genres of drama, action, and sci-fi. It's the story of an astronaut who is forced to land on a mysterious planet, only to soon realize that he has landed on Earth 65 million years ago, and he's not alone. Spoiler alert is on. Take care. The first visitor crashed on Earth. Before the emergence of humanity, in the vastness of space, other civilizations roamed the skies. One such civilization is from the planet Summaries. The story begins with an astronaut named Mills, who is set to embark on a 2-year space mission. He desperately needs the money from this mission to cover his daughter's medical expenses. Just as he's about to reveal the truth, his daughter interrupts, saying she already knows he has to leave for the mission, and that he's doing it because of her. Mills prepares for his journey into space. On the spacecraft, unexpected meteor activity is detected. The blaring alarm wakes Mills from his sleep, and he realizes that the ship is in critical condition due to meteors striking it. The systems have been disrupted, and the spacecraft is on the verge of destruction. Mills tries to take control of the situation by steering the spacecraft, but the number of meteors is far more overwhelming than expected. He's forced to make an emergency landing. The cryopods are damaged, the emergency flight signal is unresponsive, and the ship has taken a massive hit and is crashing. The spacecraft system announces a deviation from the course and an unknown location. Mills regains consciousness and realizes he's injured, with a wound on his side. He takes a spray from the medical kit and applies it to his wound. Then, he puts on his astronaut suit, grabs his special weapon and circular explosive rounds, and steps out of the spacecraft. He discovers the bodies of the passengers who were in cryosleep. All of them are dead. As he continues exploring, he notices unusual rock formations shaped like dinosaurs. He tries to establish communication with the emergency landing base, leaving a message stating that he is the sole survivor of a long-range exploratory mission. The ship was struck by an unknown asteroid belt and crash-landed in an unidentified location. The spacecraft is split in half and the escape pods are destroyed. He accesses the archive and watches videos his daughter sent him during this time. In that moment, he receives a notification about the location of one of the ship's passengers. Following the signal, he arrives at the designated spot and finds a young girl who has survived the crash. He breaks open her cryopod and takes her back to the spacecraft. On the way, he notices a large footprint, clearly belonging to a dinosaur. Mills sets out to locate the escape ship. Along the way, he comes across skeletons and bones belonging to dinosaurs. The distance to the escape ship is 15 kilometers. Suddenly, a baby dinosaur attacks him, but Mills manages to kill it. Shortly after, he sees Kait, the girl who survived from the passengers. Kait tries to run away from him, but when she sees a dinosaur attack, she becomes frightened and decides to go back to the ship with Mills. He bandages Kait's wound and reads her information from the ship's passenger log. Mills realizes that the girl speaks a different language that he can't understand. He uses gestures to try to explain to her the situation they're in, mentioning that the escape ship is in a mountainous area. Kait doesn't understand, and the only thing Mills can gather is that she's looking for her family. Mills knows her parents are dead but doesn't tell her. He tries to make Kait understand that in order to escape from the dangerous creatures, they need to reach the mountain peak, where she might find her family. Mills sends a message stating that Kait is the daughter of a family who were passengers on the spacecraft, she's alive, and he plans to take her to the escape ship since he has no access to her relatives, and her parents are dead. He ends the message with a request for help, but once again, he receives no response. Kait plays the videos of Mills' daughter and watches them. In the first few videos, she sees how much his daughter misses him. Later, she watches videos where she has become sick, is in the hospital, desperately needs her father, and she pleads with him to come back as soon as possible. Mills grabs his weapon, ammunition, and necessary supplies from the spacecraft, and he and Kait head toward their destination. They travel up to 12 kilometers from the ship. Kait picks some fruit from a tree and throws it to Mills. He warns her not to eat any of it, as it's poisonous. Mills kills a strange insect from the back of his neck, and a sticky substance attaches to his hand. When he tries to clean it off by wiping his hand on a tree, part of the tree's wood sticks to his hand as well. They come across a baby dinosaur stuck in a swamp. Koa decides to help it, and Mills can't stop her. After they manage to free it from the swamp, a group of other baby dinosaurs attacks and eats it. Koa is terrified and starts crying, but Mills reassures her and calms her down. They then head to a spring, wash their faces with the water, and take some with them. Koa reminds Mills of his daughter, which makes him feel protective and determined to look after her like a father would. Mills' GPS cuts out, and it no longer shows the destination. He climbs a tree, and as soon as the GPS reconnects, he spots an insect on his hand, causing him to panic and fall from the tree. At that moment, a group of large dinosaurs attacks them. Mills fights them off using his weapon and circular explosive rounds, while Koa, hiding behind a rock, gets surrounded by several dinosaurs. One of the dinosaurs grabs her suit with its teeth and starts pulling her away, but Mills manages to save her and kills the dinosaurs attacking them. Koa is so terrified that she doesn't move from her spot, and they stay there for several hours. Mills uses a sound he knows how to make with his hands to grab Koa's attention. On the other hand, Koa also makes some interesting sounds with her hands. Eventually, she agrees to continue their journey. They find a safe spot, and Mills uses the lights he took from the spacecraft to illuminate the area. They rest there for the night. While watching a video his wife sent him, Mills learns of his daughter's death. Later, as Koa sleeps, Mills notices a deadly venom flowing from her mouth. When he opens her mouth, he finds an insect inside. Desperate, he breaks one of the lights to try and save her. This triggers an alarm sound from the lights, which attracts a dinosaur attack. After dealing with the dinosaur, Mills sets off toward the escape ship. They enter a cave, and Mills tries to find a way out to reach the mountain, but he is unsuccessful. Just when he becomes discouraged and stops trying, Koa insists, and it occurs to him that he could use the explosive rounds to clear a path. A narrow passage opens up for them, and Mills gives Koa a few rounds. As they move through, the rocks begin to shift and collapse, trapping Koa under the rubble. However, she manages to free herself and escapes from the cave. Mills is attacked in the cave and barely manages to escape with his life. Meanwhile, Koa dips a sharp, horn-like object into the venom of the poisonous fruit she realized was toxic, then places it in her bag. Mills sees a severe meteor shower in the sky, and the navigation system detects an impending catastrophic asteroid impact. An attack powerful enough to destroy everything. Realizing the danger, he does everything he can to leave the area as quickly as possible. Koa is attacked by a dinosaur, and using her cleverness, she traps it in the trunk of a tree. She then uses the arrows she collected to kill it. While this is happening, she hears Mills' voice, calling for help as he's stuck in a swamp. Koa rushes to his aid and manages to pull him out of the swamp. Mills tells Koa that the entire area will be destroyed in 12 hours, and they need to escape. They struggle their way to the mountain peak, where they finally find the escape ship. When Koa realizes that her parents aren't there and that Mills lied to her, she gets off the escape ship. Mills follows her and tries to calm her down, but she only shouts the names of her family. Mills shows her a picture of his daughter and explains that he's been forced to be apart from her for a while, and now she's dead. In the end, he convinces Koa to come back with him to the ship. The meteor attacks occur sooner than expected. Mills prepares the escape ship for launch, but numerous meteors strike it, preventing the launch. The ship's navigation system fails, and on top of that, dinosaurs attack the ship, slowly destroying it. Mills exits the ship and fights the dinosaurs, but since his weapon is low on charge, he has to find a place to recharge. He manages to kill several of them, but one dinosaur approaches him, and without any more ammo, he tries to flee but fails. Just as the dinosaur is almost upon him, Koa attacks with her poisoned weapon and drives it into the dinosaur's eye, saving Mills. They are saved and make it to the escape ship. The heavy meteors have destroyed and set fire to almost everything. Mills quickly launches the ship, and despite several impacts from the meteors, they manage to escape and survive.